And back here on the Central Coast, loyal Republicans to the president in the area took to the streets as well as that unrest was unfolding at the U.S. Capitol to voice their support for the president. However, they say that the rioting there is not acceptable. Our KIUN's Jocelyn Ortega joins us live tonight in Monterey, where a rally took place. Many demonstrators, though, saying this wasn't the way to go, and they fear that more chaos could unfold. Jocelyn?
A lot of the Republican demonstrators out here said that what happened at the U.S. Capitol sends a message that the presidential election is not yet over. We also spoke with a terrorism and counterterrorism expert who monitors extremist activity and says we could be seeing more movements in the weeks leading up to the presidential inauguration.
The violence is very sad that happened.
A non-stop heated exchange of words Wednesday afternoon between local pro-Trump demonstrators and counter-demonstrators following the news of a violent breach at the U.S. Capitol in Washington. Both sides shocked. Still, Republican members say they believe this election can be overturned.
We believe that it's not over. There's still evidence to be presented, overwhelming evidence of voter fraud that if investigated, would change the election results.
They say what happened at the Capitol should not have happened and does not reflect on local Republican groups.
And not all those people that broke in there were us, because that's not our way.
Republican demonstrators say they feel it's the extremist groups that should be held responsible. We spoke with a terrorism and counterterrorism expert who tells us he observed the presence of some far-right extremist groups at the Capitol during the breach.
The Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers were certainly there, and QAnon was absolutely there, QAnon supporters.
Blazekis says part of his job is to monitor online platforms where anything might indicate extreme rhetoric.
Over Parler, there's been a lot of talk, certainly, about January 6th. A lot of talk about a need for a civil war which could keep in place President Trump.
He further explains a lot of online material does not necessarily cross a legal line because it is considered free speech. But when specific or direct harm is incited, that's when the material is flagged to those social media companies and reported to local law enforcement. Local demonstrators in Monterey say they expect to see more unrest, and Blazekis says there is that possibility.
I think people need to be on guard these next 2 weeks, particularly if they're going to go to public buildings where there could be protests. There is that possibility that those protests could spill over.
Individuals must leave the U.S.
Local Democratic and Republican groups on the Central Coast say they are just trying to keep the peace as much as possible. In Monterey, Jocelyn Ortega, KIUN News Channel 546.